Welcome to the Happy, Healthy Life Podcast with your hosts, Rob and Randy, who reveal the truth, the lies, and confusion about health so that you are no longer the victim to mainstream medical dogma and you are the hero to your own happy, healthy story.
Hello and good morning, and you are listening to the Happy, Healthy Life Podcast with your host, Rob and
Randy.
And we are
the Happy
Healthy Guys.
We didn't do it. We were off sync.
We were little, but we still got it.
Okay.
I think we got it. So we are coming to you right now from on the spring break edition of the Happy Healthy Life Podcast. If you can see us, you can obviously see that I am not in the Happy Healthy studio right now.
H2HQ. I am on site.
Yeah, I think H2HQ is really around the world, especially with where I'm at right now. I've been getting some inner work done. If you know anything about me, I'm always diving deep into getting down into my soul, doing the inner work. I feel like if I'm a better person on the inside, then it can shift the outside. So that is what I have been doing. Had an amazing experience last night. I probably share that with you at one point or another, still processing what it is that I went through and letting more people in. We got people from all over, literally all over the world watching, from Washington State. We've got California in the house. We've got Alaska in the house. So today's episode, let's talk. So we're going to talk about the truth of healthy fats and what they actually are, what it has to do with your metabolic health right now, how it stops your body from metabolizing food, how it slows down that metabolism, and really how it decreases your health and leads to chronic illness and disease when you do not have healthy fats in your body. And I think it's crucial that we talk about this right now, Randy, because you cannot avoid unhealthy fats. And so as we talk about that, I think a lot of people have believed this lie that there are certain fats that are out there that are actually healthy for their body. And so what's happened is really people are making literally, I guess, conscious, unconscious decisions. And what I mean by that is they're consciously thinking that they're choosing the right oils, the right fats for their body, but unconsciously they have no idea that these fats are literally wreaking havoc inside their body, leading to chronic illness, disease, just really decreasing brain function, cognitive function, sleep, all of the things. So when we talk about healthy fats, Randy, what would you say your definition of a healthy fat would be?
Well, and before I answer that question, you kind of described a lot of people walking around, we call it unconscious incompetence, which means you have no idea that you have no idea. And that's even scarier, right? So we've trusted and we've moved our trust and faith into a system, a food industry, a medical model. The whole complex isn't designed to keep us healthy. That's really sad. But going back to the question, we really branded this years ago. We've been talking about this for quite some time, that fats are fuel, okay? They are the fuel for your body, all right? Protein gives it its structure, gives it its foundation, but fats are really fuel and the major backbone to all major hormone processes in the entire human body, along with playing a vital role in the neurological system, the brain, nervous system, spinal cord, and obviously every single cell in your body, whether it's 30 trillion cells or it's 80 trillion cells, you got a lot of cells, and every one of those cells, that really the gatekeeper that lets things in the cell and lets things out of the cell is happening with that phospholipid bilipid layer membrane made of fats and cholesterol. So consuming the right fats for fuel and for optimal function and for optimal metabolic health has never been more important, because like you said, you really can't go anywhere. You can't go out to eat. You can't just pick something off the shelf at the grocery store. you really can't even trust a lot of the heart healthy oils that we've been told prevent heart disease, diabetes, strokes, cancers, and all chronic illness. So what is the truth? What are the answers? And I think maybe today we can bring some clarity to a lot of the people listening to know really what are the best fats to put in your body, because this is no joke. I really believe the wrong, and I know you agree, Dr. Rob, this may be the new cigarette smoke, the incorporation of industrial seed oils into the food industry and into our life. The last 120 years, there is a major uptick in anything and everything that you don't want, from obesity to weight loss resistance to chronic illness to Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, all these diseases now named as autoimmune conditions. We're being poisoned to death, and it isn't any more simple than that.
Yeah, so let's talk about, okay, then what, now that we know, okay, the science of what fats do for the body, right? Like you were talking about the
And that was obviously
phospholipid.
an oversimplification of what they do. Yeah,
Right.
but you
So,
you die
and
without them. Yeah.
yeah, what they are, you talked about with the phospholipid bilayer. A lot of people don't even realize that the majority of your brain is made up of fat. So when people vilify fats, what they're actually, they don't know what they're talking about, because then they would be vilifying the very makeup of the cells in your body, including the brain that controls every single function in your body from above down and inside out. So we have to have these fats. So we talk about even what a healthy fat is. A healthy fat is going to be something that can be utilized by your body in order to be able to be used as a building block, like Randy said, for your hormones, a building block for your cells, a building block for the repair of the tissue inside your body, the cells inside your body. So that's a fat that has to be readily absorbed into your body to be able to be used in all of these processes. Okay. So when
Yeah,
we
you
have
can't even
some,
detox, Dr. Rob, not to jump in, but you can't even detox your cells. The right fats allow the right nutrients, oxygen, water, trace minerals into the tissue to even be able to detox and metabolize. So think about how dangerous that is when your body can't even use its own detoxification systems because you're not getting the right fats. It is that serious.
it is that serious. So when we have these healthy fats, it has to be able to allow your body to do all of those things right there. And it's kind of like a double-edged sword too, because like you're saying, what the problem with this, as we can actually put healthy fats into our body, and healthy fats are going to be fats that occur naturally in nature, the way God intended them to be used inside your body. So whenever man messes up what God created, we end up literally with destruction inside the body. So it's got to be readily used. I think one of the problems is because of the seed oils that are going into our bodies, and we're talking about things like omega-6 oils, even the fractionated oil like an MCT oil that's been fractionated, it does not occur like that naturally in nature. So because of that, innately, the body has no idea what to do and how to even process that. So that's one of those healthy fats that's being touted as a quote healthy fat, and I use that in quotation marks, touted as a healthy fat, when in fact the body doesn't know how to use it, which is why you'll get chronic inflammation in the gut. You'll get chronic distress in the digestive system, which creates what we always talk about, the disaster pants, right? Or the diarrhea or the stomach bloating and those different things. And so the overutilization of these different things, as well as canola oil, which we talked about. I think we talked about that last week or the previous week, where that's an industrial oil. So your body is now having to figure out what to do with that. It's having to take the chemicals that are inside there, get rid of those. And what most people don't understand is that when it gets rid of those, it's going to store that in your own body's fat. So what you're doing is you're creating more fat storage in your body, utilizing this quote healthy oil that's not healthy at all. So now the problem is you're creating an environment inside your body where you can't even utilize these healthy fats that come into your body, which is why we had to, as we were communicating before we even got on, which is why we do what it is that we do. And we had to create a metabolic program in order to be able to detox our body of all of these old unhealthy fats. As you say, what's the half-life in putting one of these unhealthy fats into your body, Randy?
Yeah, it depends on which research you
Mm.
look at. Anywhere from around 500 days up to almost 700 days, which
Yeah.
means after that many days, it's still half of it's still in your system. These it's called bioaccumulation, and they've tested this obviously in animals, in pigs, which is interesting because to make an animal sick for experimentation, to make them chronically ill, to give them diabetes, you can't just give them processed sugar. It won't work.
It's
You have
crazy.
to give them seed oil. You can't make them sick. You can't make them chronically ill until you give them seed oil. These omega-6, 18 carbon chain polyunsaturated fatty acid, these PUFAs, so that bioaccumulation as your body begins to put these and deposit these fats into your cells, into your mitochondria, into your DNA, they literally begin to store and they cause your fat cells to begin to grow what's called hypertrophy. So your fat cells, you want them to go into hyperplasia or they multiply and become smaller because fat cells really aren't the enemy. They play an important role in our body's metabolism with leptin signaling to the brain, appetite, satiety. So fat's not the enemy in the body. But when you've got a bioaccumulation of these omega-6 seed oils, they cause the fat cells to go into hypertrophy where they begin to swell and they begin to grow. And at some point, everything has a breaking point, Dr. Rob. And when you break that point and you bust that bubble, these fat cells break open and they start secreting a fatty acid called palmitate. Palmitate is a fatty acid. I believe it's a 16 carbon chain. And what it does, it now signals your liver and your skeletal muscle to become insulin resistant. So you're literally feeding your body this fatty acid that's a hormone trigger to tell your muscle and your liver to no longer uptake glucose. Guess what that's called? Diabetes.
Yeah, so there you go right now. So obviously you've got a detox, and one of the biggest solutions for people that haven't done our metabolism program is just to start. You got to eliminate these omega-6, these PUFAs that Dr. Randy is talking about. You got to get them out of your diet, number one. Number two is you've got to start replacing with a healthier option. In fact, I was telling Dr. Randy that I ate at a restaurant yesterday, and it was great to see. And this is the only restaurant that I've seen this at, but they even had it on their menu that they used clean oils, no seed oils in there, and they were using them from a company called Zero Acre Farms. And I just love that there's a consciousness and an awareness about this. So I didn't have to ask if they use seed oils. It was clearly stated that they don't, which means that people are starting to become aware of this. But even with that, that's also not the best and cleanest oil that you could actually use, which is why we had created SCT oil, or short chain triglyceride oil, because we couldn't find a better option out there. We had to actually create that. And we were even talking about this earlier. It's crazy because yes, even though there's apps out there that can show you what restaurants use seed oils, which don't, it's still, it's not one of those things where you can still even trust that. So you have to get better at asking good questions whenever, especially when you're going into these restaurants and asking what it is that they're using. And as we were talking, we're like, you know what, there's only one restaurant that we've been to that we know for sure that they didn't even have any oil in the kitchen. And that was a hotel that we had stayed at called the Faena Hotel in Miami, where the only thing they cook in there is butter, which is fantastic. However, I'm just saying that because you have to really be aware. You have to be consciously competent of what it is that you're putting into your body. So I'd say those are a couple of solutions right there. Randy, you want to add to that?
Yeah, I do, because a lot of times we have these conversations and somebody would say, well, yeah, I don't eat any seed oil. And you just ask a couple more questions and you realize, oh my gosh, you are eating tons of seed oil. The quality of your life is basically the quality of the questions that you ask yourself. What is it that you believe in? Why do you believe it? If you're going out to eat in restaurants, you're getting seed oil. Let me be very clear on that. The pre-marinades, what they're cooking in, what they're frying in. I'm telling you right now, unless you literally tell your waiter that you're going to die at the table if you get it, and the chef comes out, you're getting seed oil, no doubt about it. Another place that's hidden that you're getting seed oil, you're getting these, quote, heart healthy oils, And the reason we call them heart healthy in quotation marks is if you go to the American Heart Association, the Diabetes Association, they're literally putting this stuff on their website saying these are the fats you should be consuming. All the while, they're making money hand over fist as they put people on oral therapy, which is drug therapy, for the rest of your life. Another place you're getting it is in olive oil and in an avocado oil. Most of these oils, they are cut with seed oil. One of the major food, what would I call it? Food distribution companies, they have this massive box that these restaurants buy, and it's called olive oil. And it's 1% olive oil, 99% soybean oil. And they can sell it to you as olive oil. It's 1%, 99% soybean oil. Are you kidding me? It's insane. Avocado oil, definitely cut with seed oil. Very rare to find clean, pure, extra virgin olive oil or even avocado oil. Another place you're getting seed oil are from nuts and from seeds. Okay, so if you're eating almonds, cashews, walnuts, especially if they're roasted, because remember, these polyunsaturated fatty acids, they're very unstable under heat, light, and oxygen. So if they're roasted, now the free radical demand or the oxidative stress that these put on your metabolism and your cells is exponential. So roasted nuts and seeds. We're also talking about things like fish oil. How many of you are chalking down fish oil, flaxseed oil, hemp seed oil, walnut oil, peanut oil? All these nuts and seeds are loaded with PUFA. Very important to know, the seed is the baby of the organism, and every organism wants to protect their baby. So when you talk about a nut or a seed, you're talking about serious defense chemicals and anti-nutrients because they don't want to be eaten. They do not want to be consumed. These type anti-nutrients chelate key minerals out of your body. They can attack your thyroid. They can disrupt your gut. They can cause real damage, and they can accumulate in your body just like eating other type seed oils that have been industrial produced, because you're still very, very high in PUFA, polyunsaturated fatty acid, that omega-6 linoleic acid. You have to be aware of this. One of the big mistakes, Dr. Rob, if I can call us both out, we were both making before our journey made a big 180, with me getting sick with metastatic cancer and you with an inflamed body, back, and a huge weight issue. We were destroying, and when I say destroying, consuming copious amounts of nuts and seeds and flax seeds and flax oil and fish oil, going to restaurants and not even asking if they're cooking in seed oil. You could be accumulating so much of this omega-6 and you're not even aware of it. So I wanted to go a little deeper there to make sure that we are being conscious, because seed oil too, and this is something that's not really talked about, but the science validates it, seed oils are estrogenic. They're estrogenic. So every single cancer has a hormonal component to it, specifically estrogen. So these bind to the same receptor sites. They feminize the body. They disrupt your hormonal profile. They're going to disrupt your gut and your thyroid. They're going to make you very sick. Estrogenic. You do not want to be estrogen dominant. Definitely not as a female. Definitely not as a man. This stuff is bad news.
It is bad news. So like we said, there is hope. There's answers. Don't feel like, oh my God, I can't even go out and eat anything anymore. Step one would be even find out if you've got a metabolic problem. Find out if you've got a metabolism issue. Step number one is we've got it laid out for you. Go to metabolismscore.com and you can be able to take the quiz, find out if you've got a metabolism issue. That would be step number one. And then number two, like I said, is eliminate the seed oils, replace with something like an SCT oil. If you want more information about that, shameless plug, go to sctoil.com. Super simple. And we've got answers for you, and we've got solutions for you always. And then if you're interested, with our metabolism program, the first thing that we do, and the first part of this program is to detox your body. Because here's the deal. If you just start saying, you know what, I'm going to start adding SCT oil to my diet regimen, you know what, that's a great thing. But if the environment that you already have inside your body isn't ready to absorb these healthier fats in your body, you're still going to have a problem. So you've got to get that stuff out. So we've laid it out, made it super simple, super easy, step by step, so that you can be able to not only eliminate these seed oils from your body and detox, but also start to create a healthier metabolism that gets you losing weight fast. And then you have the ability to be able to keep it off by literally having these super simple and easy lifestyle changes. So that's where you can be able to go to be able to get answers to the questions. Continue to keep on watching and listening to the podcast. We're here for you. Keep on letting us know what questions that you have. If you want more information about health and what it is that we do, definitely tune into. We added another podcast in our series every week called our Real Talk segment, where we talk about everything real when it comes to health and wellness, and it is raw as all get out. That episode drops every Tuesday. This episode right here drops every Friday. So we just want to make sure that we're giving you valuable content to be able to help you have a consciously happier, healthier life. Anything else to add for today before we head on out of here, Dr. Randy?
Yeah, let's don't cut it off just yet. We've got a little more time. There's a couple more areas I want to go. We can do it quickly, but I like how this is organically begin to come together here. Have you ever heard of the Renaissance doctor? His name is Paracelsus. You ever heard of that doctor?
I have not.
He's known as the devil's doctor. No joke. He is known. He's like the father of toxicology. You'll know this. He's the one that coined the phrase, the dose makes the poison. Okay. Which is completely ridiculous. It's either a poison or it's not a poison, which is why in America, they've got over 10,000 chemicals that have been approved to be in our food and over 80,000 chemicals in our environment. And none of them have been tested in combination with each other. They're isolated in small doses to say that they're safe. There is not a safe poison or a toxin. The reason I bring that up is a lot of you may be thinking, or I've had these conversations, like how in the world would the FDA and our government allow a metabolic toxin to be put in everything, and talking about omega-6 seed oil? And that is how they're able to do it, because maybe a small dose today isn't making you sick, but what's a small dose today and another small dose tomorrow over the next 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, and now your bucket's overflowing and you're in this toxic state. So I bring all that up to say this is why we developed our metabolism program, like you talked about, Dr. Rob. You have to be able to detox your body from seed oil. There aren't really any ways to do that that are that effective. With our 5 weeks that we utilize during our metabolism program, we call that our retrain phase. This is an opportunity for the body to now get rid of seed oil. And it's very effective at doing that because your body has a window to go, now I can dump these out of my system, I can move these out of my body, and that's going to upregulate your metabolic profile, and it's going to help you get fat adapted. Now, a lot of you who overweight, you just have a tendency to store body fat. One of the reasons is your body's toxic, years of bioaccumulation, lots of toxic chemicals, your body's hanging on to the fat, and we want to get you fat adapted. But here's another piece to the puzzle, Dr. Rob, because not only are fats our fuel, carbohydrates are fuel. Many of you listening, you're not able to eat carbohydrate because you're so metabolically sick. And one of the number one reasons you're not able to metabolize carbohydrates is because you're chock full of omega-6 fatty acids. You've had so many years of bioaccumulation. And how do we know this? Because if you're metabolically unhealthy, so I'll give you an example. I'm metabolically healthy. It's a good position to come from when you're a co-founder of a metabolic health company. And I do live what I preach, and you do too, Dr. Rob. Thank you for that. Thanks for always providing the accountability. But we live it, breathe it, and teach it. This morning, went to the gym, had an incredible workout.
just going to have to eat fats and protein for the rest of my life. But that's actually not true. And that's not what we recommend.
And here's what I would do, just in closing on my end, unless you want to keep going, is
no, we're about out of time.
A quick tip on this. If you're like, well, how do I really navigate this outside of program? What I would say is protein really should stay the same. Remember, that's your foundation. That's your building blocks. You need quality protein. A good rule of thumb is 0.8 grams times how much you weigh. And that'll give you a good protein number. So for example, I'm 165 pounds. If you do the math on that, I'm going to be taking anywhere from 120 to 130 grams of protein per day over 3 meals. It's about 35 to 40 grams of protein. That is my constant. And I just innately, I'm eating, I'm wanting to grab that 30, 40 grams of quality animal-based protein. And then the way I navigate carbs and fat is if I'm going to have more carbs, I'm going to lower my amount of fat. And if I'm going to have more fat, I'm going to lower my amount of carbs, because carbs and fat do compete for the Krebs cycle, for the mitochondria to be primary energy producers. And your body can navigate that. But a good rule of thumb, especially if you're not really fat adapted and carb adapted yet, and you haven't gone through our program, or you need a little more help and support there, protein as a constant, lower fat if you're going to eat more carbohydrate. All right, lower carbohydrate if you're going to eat more fat. No seed oil, animal-based fats, quality ruminant animal proteins, lots of ripe fruit, honey, maple syrup, clean organic vegetables prepared correctly. If you can do those things, I'm telling you, it's really, really fun. And you can eat a lot of food because you're no longer counting calories, you're counting nutrients.
Wow. I hope everybody heard that, because that's all information that you're going to want to go back and listen to for sure, to be able to literally take inventory of where you're at on your journey. And that's super practical. So thanks for sharing that, Randy.
Thank you, man. Appreciate you. Thanks everybody
Absolutely.
for being on today too. Just love the group, love sharing information. And we may have to start doing 3 podcasts a week, man. There's a lot to talk about.
There is. So thank you guys for listening to the Happy Healthy Life podcast. Go to metabolismscore.com to be able to see where you're at. Like it, share it. Definitely add your comments. Tell you that you love the show. It helps us to be able to get this to more people. And we feel that everybody in the world needs to get this information. So thank you so much for listening.
Thanks for listening to the Happy Healthy Life podcast. If you enjoy the show, make sure to follow them on Instagram at the H2 Life, or on YouTube and Facebook at the Happy Healthy Guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow, and review the show wherever you listen to podcasts.